take your mark.
Hello YouTube, StuckInAPool here, and today we're going to talk about some more Fire Emblem Heroes stuff. So we've all probably seen by this point the schedule for early February that's released and all the events that are going to be going on around the anniversary and all the the new heroes that are coming up. I personally am super excited about getting more Sacred Stones units. That's one of my favorite games in the whole series. So I wanted to take a minute and kind of speculate a little bit. So we do know we have Lyon coming up soon in a Grand Hero battle. We've also got a new hero summoning event coming up right before that. So I think it's pretty safe to assume we're going to get some Sacred Stones characters. So I figured I'd use that awesome unit builder tool to kind of speculate and make up my own little unit builds for Lyon and the other units that I'm kind of hoping might get included as well. So we're going to start talking, of course, about Lyon. If you haven't played Sacred Stones, spoiler alert, he may not be as friendly as he seems. You can kind of assume that based on the fact that he's a Grand Hero battle, but yes, he is the main antagonist at the end of the game. So Lyon has 35 health, 33 attack, 20 speed, 26 defense, and 34 resistance. So he's very slow, but his defenses and his attack are both pretty good. So he's like a slightly slower, slightly tankier Sanaki maybe. So starting with his weapon, Loki talks about wanting to steal it, but I assume they'll still give it to him. I don't know how that'll work out story-wise, but he uses the Naglfar, and it is a 14 might tome. And one idea for it was that you could just copy Loki's Thok staff and just give it the same effect, which is limiting range units to one movement if they have 3 less health than her or something weird like that. But going along with like Leon's Necromancer theme, I thought it'd be cool if he defeats an enemy, then he'll restore HP equal to the damage that he deals on the last hit. So if the enemy's left with like 5 HP and he kills him, he'll get like 5 HP back after. And that actually goes well with his next skill that I'll talk about. It's a new assist that I kind of just made up. It's called Lifedrain. And again, it kind of lends to his Necromancer kind of weird theme. And it's basically just like a beefed up Ardent Sacrifice. So what it does, he will sacrifice 10 health, and he will drain 10 health from the enemy on the field who has the highest health, and then give 20 health to the ally that he's using this skill on. So I don't know if this would be terribly overpowered since you're taking from the highest health enemy on the field. I don't think it would be that great. It might actually be an interesting thing to use against Panic Ploy, who knows. Going on to his next skill, it's also a new skill, not one that would be unique to him, but I couldn't think of a better name, but I wanted to play off the fact that he kind of has multiple, or that he has 2 personalities in a sense in the game, sort of, his normal calm self and the not so calm self. So basically what this skill would do, if he has full health, then he's going to have a constant +2 to defense and resistance in combat, and if he's 50% health or below, he's going to have a constant attack and speed +2 in combat. So when he's low health and kind of desperate, he can hit a little harder, but when he's topped off, he'll be a little tankier. And the last skill I gave him was Attack Ploy, just because having Attack Ploy be more available would be great, and he has the resistance to run it well, and since his defenses are overall pretty good, I think he could run it well. So moving on to the next unit I want to talk about, we do know that there's going to be a Tempest Trial, and I feel like we are going to get a unit for free from the Tempest Trial. It's not a mini, so I think we're going to get a new unit from Sacred Stones from the Tempest Trial. And since dragons just got a cool new upgrade and a lot of people have been clamoring for this dragon to be included in the game, I think Myrrh is going to be a Tempest Trial reward unit. Don't quote me on it, but I'm really hoping. I think that would really be cool. The only unfortunate thing would be it would mean you couldn't super merge her, but I think they've mostly just given out red units. I think giving out a green dragon unit, which hopefully that's what she would be pretty cool on their part. So anyway, Myrrh has 40 health, 34 attack, 30 speed, 31 defense, and 23 resistance. And I went ahead and gave her Dark Breath Plus, but I imagine a lot of people would take that off and run Lightning Breath Plus, but I think she would work well as a debuffer since her speed is pretty mediocre, she won't get doubled, and her defense is pretty good too. I went ahead and gave her Reposition 2, and I'll kind of touch on that later. And as for her B skill, I honestly just couldn't think of a better name, and it would be unique to her since she is the Great Dragon. So in Sacred Stone, she's basically treated as a flyer, and in fact she takes effective damage from bow users. So I think it would be cool if this skill made it so that she could effectively move as a flyer, but act as an infantry unit. And I was torn between making her take effective damage from arrows or not. So I think the good middle ground would be she would take effective damage from arrows if she's on a tile that only a flyer can access, like if she's over water or a mountain or, you know, air, then she would take effective damage. And if she was on like a regular tile like forest or plain, she could be on the ground and be okay. And since she would effectively be a flyer unit at that point, reposition just kind of makes sense on her, so that's why I gave her that. And the last skill I have for her is Hone Dragons. We don't have it yet, we only have Fortified Dragons on Nidian, so I figured she'd be a good way to introduce it. So like I said, if she was a free unit, you know, everyone would get Hone Dragons. We could make Dragon Emblem a thing. Okay, the next unit I'm going to talk about is Ross, and he would be an Axe Infantry unit, and he would be available on the banner, the Summoning Banner. And Ross here has 47 health, 38 attack, 35 speed, 23 defense, and 18 resistance. So like Amelia, he'll have a small trainee stat total boost since he is the Journeyman class. And since he is kind of the warrior type, I gave him just the high health, high attack, mediocre speed, and very not good defenses kind of stat spread. As for his weapon, I gave him his signature Hatchet, and it's going to be unique to him. So the Hatchet has 14 might, and it has built in what I'm going to call distant initiation. So it's just the flip side of distant counter. So he can initiate from 1 or 2 spaces, but you can only counter from 1. So it seems a little silly, but allowing him to both initiate and counter from 1 to 2 spaces is insane, and I didn't want that. Of course, you could give him distant counter if you wanted to and let him do that, you know, whatever. For his assist, I gave him Smite just because he's a rough fellow, kind of, I guess, sort of. His B skill, I'm calling Journeyman, which, you know, is his class, and it's kind of like to represent a, you know, rough and tough kind of guy. This affects his mobility. It lets him ignore forest tiles, so he'll treat them just as a regular plain tile. And he'll treat water and mountains as forest tiles, so he'll be just able to move once, or 1 space against those. And I'm not sure if I want to say this is unique to him, or just unique to infantry units. And for his C skill, I want to go ahead and give him Defensive Smoke, since he is kind of an initiation type unit. So he can run up and throw his axe at someone and weaken up everyone around him and maybe have some allies follow up. And the next unit I'm going to talk about is, I'm going to butcher her name, I've never known how to pronounce it correctly. I'm going to say L'arachel. That's probably wrong, but whatever. So anyway, she is a staff cavalry, and her health is 31. She has 32 attack, 35 speed, 18 defense, and 29 resistance. She's got a typical staff user kind of stat spread. Her stat total is the same as Elise's. Her weapon is Latona, and I wasn't going to give her a weapon that, or I wasn't going to give her a staff that allowed her to heal everyone on the field to max health. That's just silly. So basically my thought was, it's going to give her cooldown accelerated by 1, like a killer weapon or slaying weapon would. And when she initiates, all allies within 2 spaces of her have their penalties converted to bonuses. So that's a little strong when you think about it, but honestly, since mages can't use offensive specials, the cooldown count isn't as valuable as it would be on a glass cannon or something. And it'll make sense when I get to her special, which you see is Heavenly Light. So that kind of goes to how her staff would function in her game. She can kind of spread the heals around to everyone. And I went ahead and give her Physic, just because why not, you know. Kind of helps her stay out of the fray a little bit, and since it's a little stronger now, it's a good fit for her. And I gave her Dazzling Staff. She doesn't really want to take hits. You know, she's got speed where she won't get doubled too much, but if she can help it, not getting countered is good. And I went ahead and gave her Breath of Life as well, so just, you know, going back to the idea of her passing heals out everywhere. And I imagine being able to upgrade Latona to give it the Wrathful Staff effect is only fair, but I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Okay, the next unit I'm going to talk about is one that I'm not 100% sure on. I imagine she would appear on the Summoning Banner as well with Ross and L'arachel. Just because she's so popular with the Choose Your Legends poll, she's, you know, one of the highest up there that's still not in the game. And that's Marisa. Marisa is a sword infantry unit. Honestly, the only reason I would say maybe she wouldn't be included is because we already have Joshua, and they're pretty similar, honestly. But she's a really cool character, and I think including her would be a good idea. So I gave her the Wodow. She doesn't really have a unique weapon. She has the Shamshir, but I don't know if she deserved like a unique uninheritable weapon, and I wouldn't know what to give it that would make it different from the Slaying Edge and the Wodow. So I just went ahead and gave her the Wodow. So Marisa has 39 health, 33 attack, 37 speed, 25 defense, and 25 resistance. As for her special, I gave her Cyclone, is what I'm going to call it. and it's basically just Regnal Astra. But I think it'd be cool to go ahead and introduce, you know, the Glowing Ember, Bonfire Ignis of the speed skill tree. So I think it could start with, you know, like Gust or something like that, and then Cyclone would be one, and then Windstorm would be one that requires more cooldowns but does more damage or something like that. I don't know, just more speculation. So Cyclone could be on like a 3 cooldown count and give a damage boost based on 50% of the user's speed, and that's something that could be inheritable, unlike Regnal Astra. Whereas the heavier variant would be 80% of the user's speed and require a 4 cooldown count. And I gave her Flashing Blade just because it'd be nice to have someone else that has it besides Mia. And her B skill, I made up something else. So I don't know if this is too much. It might be too little. It's kind of hard to say. So basically what this skill would do, it's sort of like Wrath, but it applies to your enemy's health. So basically if you start a turn within 2 spaces of an enemy that is at 50% or less health, then at the beginning of that turn your cooldown count will tick down by 2. So that way, during your turn, you're more likely to be able to run up to the enemy and use your special. And the last unit I'm going to talk about, I feel like it could be either him or Marisa. I don't know if we would get both. Getting 4 units on a banner plus a free unit plus a Grand Hero, you know, might be a little much. It's probably going to be a 3-unit banner. But I still want to talk about him anyway. He could be in it. And that's Cormag. He's a pretty popular guy. He is a Lance Flyer. He has 45 health, 37 attack, 32 speed, 31 defense, and 13 resistance. So you can tell he's a little specialized at not fighting mages. So as for his weapon, I gave him what I'm going to call the Sharpened Spear, and it's basically just a spear version of the Wodao, since we don't have one of those yet. If I'm not mistaken, I could be an idiot and be getting this wrong. Who knows? And I gave him a Moonbow, just so he has a low cooldown count special that he can trigger more often. As for his B skill, initially I was going to give him Wrath, because it kind of fits his character. But then I remembered you couldn't give Wrath to flyers, so I had to get rid of that idea. So I figured since he was kind of a commander of Wyvern forces in the army, flyer formation would be a pretty decent fit for him. I was kind of between that and giving him guidance. But then for his C skill, I decided I kind of want to give him speed tactic, because someone's got to have it. We got to introduce it at some point. I feel like he'd be a good way to do it. And so that way, you get 2 skills that honestly don't work all that well together, but would allow him to be either good on a mixed team with speed tactic, or a flyer team, a flyer formation. And you could always give him the guidance skill if you want to do some interesting things with armor units, or with armor infantry units. So yeah, those are the units that I'm hoping to see. I'm kind of biased. There are some units I really like Ross, that I honestly just really want to see in the game. And it makes sense since we have Amelia, we'll get him at some point. And hopefully we'll get Ewan? Hopefully we'll get him as well. Because I feel like he could definitely add some interesting things to the game. If they kind of made him like the summoner class like he could have been. But they could also go with the sage route and just make him, you know, just super strong or whatever. I don't really remember his stats all that well in Sacred Stone, so it's kind of hard to say where they'd go with him. But anyway, I'll quit rambling. Thank you for watching me wildly speculate about Sacred Stone's units and what I think they might be like. I'm kind of excited to see when the banner comes out and when Lyon's Grand Hero Battle comes out, how much I got right, how much I got stupidly wrong. So if I left out a unit you really like, or a unit you think should be included, go ahead and leave a comment below. Tell me what you think they'd be like, and tell me what units you personally are just looking forward to. So anyway, thank you all for watching, and I hope I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.